Oh, there are a good amount of people here. Hey, everybody. How are we all doing tonight for the uh, final round of virtual trivia? Yes, I will somewhat also miss it, Sue, minus all the work that goes into producing this show. But I mean, I'll also be very happy when we can go back and into the pub for trivia too, because I miss going in there. Um, I somehow still spent all of my money, even though I'm not going to the par. So who knows where that all went. Ira the Scorpio, great. Sweet. I know we got 42, Ira the Scorpio. Sue, is the rest of the team with you too? Waiting on Jen and Mike to connect. All right. It's weird how every time I start talking, the number of viewers drops off. But I won't be offended, I guess, by that. All right. Let's see. Looks like we got Quiz in My Pants and the Man in the White Castle here as well. So we got a good number of teams here for our final night. Let's see. Ira the Scorpio, did you guys go to Brunswick Trivia in person last week? Did that go? Do you know how that went over with Pat running that again outside? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm interested to see how that'll go. Because I had lunch there once they opened the patio up, so it seems like a nice spot as long as the weather's nice. Although it's supposed to be thunderstorms tomorrow, so Courtney is only here to see my cat. Oh, thank you, Courtney. Well, here you go. Yeah, there. All right, you can go, I guess, if you want. I'm calling my phone. All right. Let's see. It is 7 o'clock. All right. I suppose I can go ahead and get started. And if anybody else is, what forms are labeled round one? Shoot. Well, they're labeled 1 and 2 on my end, so I won't get them mixed up. Wait, well, unless you can't see them. Shoot. Let me double check that real quick. Trivia. All right. Oops. One of them now says 2, so you may have to reload one of those sheets, but one is definitely going to be 2 now. The value should be the same. Sorry about that. Sometimes I forget to change the link, but they are both. The links that I copied onto the Facebook group should be the same, or correct, rather. All right. I guess we can go ahead and get started. So welcome to the final edition of Virtual Weekly Trivia with Will and Ron, and occasionally Andy, and also Jen one time. Oh, and Arizona is here too. Awesome. So we actually have a full house, which is great for the last time. Originally, we had set out to do this to raise money for the pub while they were out, and also to have a replacement for trivia night since trivia was unable to meet. I think it's still going to be a little bit longer before trivia reopens in Bath. Maggie's working on getting that figured out. It's going to have to be a different day because Bath Burns will not be open on Tuesdays. But Brunswick is open for trivia on Wednesdays at their normal time, and both locations are open again, doing takeout. Burns in Bath is doing dine-in seating, with a limited number of people. Brunswick is doing outdoor seating. I don't think they were allowed to start dine-in yet, but that probably will change coming up soon. So please continue to go and support the pubs if you have the chance. I'm just happy that they're back and that we were able to help them out a bit. We raised close to $1,600 doing this, so it's not a small effort by everybody who's chipped in. So thank you all so much for all the money you chipped in to help out the pub staff here. Let's see. You've all played here before, so you know the rules for the virtual edition. I am making one minor amendment tonight for the final installment here. I had this thought while I was out for my walk this afternoon. So we're going to have, as we normally do, 2 rounds, and each round is going to have 3 categories. But then at the end, we're going to do a final trivia, which is like Final Jeopardy, but it's trivia instead. So it's 1 question. And before I ask the question, I'm going to give you what the category is, and you will wager a certain number of points that you can either gain or lose. So it could still be anyone's game by the end, just to mix it up a little bit and get a little crazy, I guess. So I think unless anybody else has any questions or needs any straightening out, please let me know. If you have any questions at any time, want me to slow down, repeat, whatever, anything, go ahead and just comment in the chat and I will correct my mistakes here. All right, so let's go ahead. I really haphazardly named the categories for this whole game. So category number 1 this evening is called I Really Thought I Knew This. So the basis of this category, I've been thinking about trying to do something like this for a while. It's kind of like a on the tip of my tongue thing, like things you think, like when you hear the question, you're like, I should really know what that is, which is essentially the point of trivia. Is just like it's stupid random knowledge that you may or may not know. So yeah, that's just kind of the idea. So question number 1 for that category. How many ridges are on the outside edge of a quarter? How many ridges are on the outside edge of a quarter? And I'm willing to give 10 plus or minus on each side of the answer for this one, because I am looking for a specific number here. Let's get crazy. All right, question number 2. In terms of sending an email, what does BCC stand for? In terms of sending an email, what does BCC stand for? Question number 3. What spice is derived from the herb known in the US as cilantro? What spice is derived from the herb known in the US as cilantro? Question number 4. This amendment to the U.S. Constitution was repealed with the passing of the 21st Amendment and is the only amendment to be repealed. And so for this one, I'm looking for the actual number of that amendment to the Constitution. I'm not looking for what it's called or what it did. I'm looking for the actual number of the amendment. This amendment to the U.S. Constitution was repealed with the passing of the 21st Amendment and is the only amendment to be repealed. Question number 5. This basic taste was first proposed in 1908 and refers to savory flavors that come from foods with high levels of glutamates. This basic taste was first proposed in 1908 and refers to savory flavors that come from foods with high levels of glutamates. Oh, sorry. So, Mike, when I say basic taste, I mean like one of the sensations of taste. Well, like when you see the tongue graph, they have like different spots, even though that's not really accurate. I don't want to name some because it might give away what it is, but things like salty is a basic flavor. So things like that. So it's one of those, something along those lines. Courtney, just let me know if whatever question number you want or need repeated, and I can go through those. I'll go through them all, or after I ask the last question, I can answer and repeat any questions from the first category here. So number 6. Let's see. Maria's either going to know this immediately or get super upset with herself. In the game of Monopoly, which is the first railroad that players encounter after passing Go? In the game of Monopoly, which is the first railroad that players encounter after passing Go? Yep. See. All right, that's the end of the first category. Are there any questions 1 through 6 from that category? Anyone would like repeated before we move on? All right, I'm not seeing any. If at any point in the first round you want any questions repeated, just write them in the chat and I'll go back and redo them for many of the categories. Oh. All right, category number 2. This one is science. I figured I'd throw a science category in here at the end of all things. So category number 2 is science. Question number 1. Oil floating on water. I wrote that in the wrong tense. Oil floats on water because the two can't mix. How the hell did I write? Oh, sorry, I just totally biffed how I wrote this thing down. Okay, oil floating on water because the two things cannot mix is the result of this chemical property of which oil and water are opposites. So when oil floats on top of water because they can't mix with each other, that's the result of this chemical property of which oil and water are opposites. Gordy the cat is named Ron Swanson because he has a glorious mustache and drinks whiskey. All right, question number 2. Gregor Mendel was an Austrian monk and scientist whose experiments with pea plants laid the foundation for which field of study? Gregor Mendel was an Austrian monk and scientist whose experiments with pea plants laid the foundation for which field of study? Question number 3. Mus musculus is the scientific name for which animal? I'll write this in the chat because I'm assuming my Latin pronunciation is correct, but it might not be. Mus musculus is the scientific name for which animal? Okay, question number 4. This is a bit of a thinker because it's kind of a math problem, sort of. So at sea level, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. If the temperature remained constant, what would you need to do to melt the water to a liquid state? So at sea level, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. If the temperature remained constant, what would you need to do to melt the water to a liquid state? I'm expecting some creative answers for this one, so it'll be interesting. Give people a minute to think about that while I grab another beer. Leave you with Ron while he's just kind of dropping. All right. So repeat number 3 can do that. Repeat number 3 again. Mus musculus, which is the name I put in the chat, is the scientific name for which animal? Wow, thanks, Maddie. I appreciate the tear, but Ron's actually gay, and he has a boyfriend that lives in the neighborhood. So they're star-crossed lovers because I don't really let him outside. But he likes to wake me up whenever he shows up in the night and bangs on the window. All right, where were we? Question number 5. Since 1982, U.S. pennies are only plated with copper. They're not all copper. Where its inner core is an alloy composed of 99% of what? Since 1982, U.S. pennies are only plated with copper, where their inner core is an alloy composed of 99% what? Number 4, yep, I can repeat number 4 again as well. So at sea level, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. If the temperature remained constant, what would you need to do to melt the water to a liquid state? That was number 4. And number 6. Moving at roughly 18,000 miles per hour, how many times per day does the International Space Station orbit the Earth? Moving at roughly 18,000 miles per hour, how many times per day does the International Space Station orbit the Earth? And so this isn't an exact number, so I'll give people plus or minus the one whole number in between the actual answer on this one. And that also brings us to the end of category 2. While people are thinking over the last question, if any team has any questions from category 2 or also category 1 they'd like repeated, please let me know in the chat and I can go ahead and reread those before we move on. Mm. All right, I'm seeing nothing, so I'll go ahead and do category number 3 before we take a quick break, and I'll score up this round. So category 3, since I've been thinking about traveling a lot, as I'm sure many of you have, this category is places I can't go to right now that I want to, because I had a lot of plans for this summer, and I probably can't go to any of these places. So here we are. And I'm sure you can all commiserate. So for all these are all just names of cities. So I'm just looking for the name of the city. If you know the country too, awesome. But I just want the city name for 1 point apiece. So question number 1. I had planned to visit my cousin in this capital city, where I could have shopped in the Byward Market, stood on Parliament Hill, or maybe taken in a Senators game if the season wasn't over. I had planned to visit my cousin in this capital city, where I could have shopped in the Byward Market, stood on Parliament Hill, or maybe taken in a Senators game if the season wasn't over. All right, question number 2. Travel restrictions would mean I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks in this capital city. But if I extended my vacation, I could stay long enough to leave my hotel and enjoy some lambic beer, mussels and french fries, or maybe waffles, although I'm told the best waffles are nearby Liege. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that city right. Liege, maybe Liege. Yeah. I'll repeat that. Travel restrictions would mean I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks in this capital city. But if I extended my vacation, I could stay long enough to leave my hotel and enjoy some lambic beer, mussels and french fries, or maybe waffles. Although I'm told the best waffles are nearby Liege. I think Liege is correct. That sounds better. Question number 3. It's too hot and crowded to go right now. But this metropolis that was supposed to hold the 2020 Summer Olympics has plenty to see, including a giant robot. It's too hot and crowded to go right now. But this metropolis that was supposed to hold the 2020 Summer Olympics has plenty to see, including a giant robot. Right. Question number 4. I have friends living in this European archipelago whose country celebrated the midsummer holiday this past weekend. If I was there, I'd pass on the pickled herring. I have friends living in this European archipelago whose country celebrated the midsummer holiday this past weekend. If I was there, I'd pass on the pickled herring. All right, question number 5. I have other family in this bilingual metropolis, and if I was there this summer, I'd probably be shut up in La Banquise, enjoying some poutine and the city's famous smoked meat. I have other family in this bilingual metropolis, and if I was there this summer, I'd probably be shut up in La Banquise, enjoying some poutine, or poutine, I guess more people pronounce it that way here, and the city's famous smoked meat. All right, and question number 6, for which I apologize to our non-main players because I realize that this is a main town. So if you're not really too familiar with the state, you probably have absolutely no idea where this place is. I may still be able to visit this town in Aroostook County to visit Northern Maine Brewing Company, but it's a pretty far drive from here. And if I'm going that far, I may as well go a little bit further northwest to Fort Kent and check out First Mile Brewing and the origin of Route 1. I may still be able to visit this town in Aroostook County to visit Northern Maine Brewing Company, but it's a pretty far drive from here. And if I'm going that far, I may as well go a little bit further northwest to Fort Kent and check out First Mile Brewing and the origin of Route 1. No, the city does not need to be a capital for these. All right, would any teams like any questions repeated again from category 3 or from any other category in the first round? All right, I'm seeing none. In case anyone does, you can write that in the chat. And everyone else, just go ahead and finalize your answers. Hit the submit button at the bottom of the third page. We'll return or resume, I guess, in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to score up all the answers for the first round once they come in, and also turn a fan on because it's ungodly hot in here. And I'm only wearing this jacket for tradition. I really wish I was not. So we'll resume shortly here. So mute myself. You can have Ron back, I guess. There we go. I think we can probably work us both in here. No, Ron did not freeze. He just sits like that for hours on end and does not move. Let's see. So I did not get any answers in from Ira the Scorpio, unless they came in late. But if you can please send those in or make sure that they did get submitted, so I can get those scored up here before I read the answers off. Yeah, you itch that face. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so these are get flipped. So yeah, okay. I heard the Scorpio. I did get yours. Yeah. Change round 1 to category 4. Oh yeah, right. Okay, so I do have yours here. Let me get your answers down real quick, and then I'll clear it out. So just go ahead and write your responses in that same form afterwards here. I get for doing everything at the last second. Let's see. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I heard the Scorpio. I apologize for that. I did get your. Yeah. So I have your answers for round 1. So I'm gonna. It probably makes more sense just to use that same form again. So what I'll do is delete the responses from there. Actually, I'll read the answers aloud in case anybody has any challenges. Where was I with these answers? Ron. All right. So for category 1, really thought I knew this. How many ridges are on the outside edge of a quarter? That's 119. A couple teams were pretty close. Number 2, in terms of sending an email, what does BCC stand for? That is blind carbon copy. Number 3, what spice is derived from the herb known in the US as cilantro? It's coriander. And I learned actually that pretty much everywhere else in the world, the plant is called coriander also, not cilantro. Number 4, this amendment to the US Constitution was repealed with the passing of the 21st Amendment. And the only amendment to be repealed, that is the 18th Amendment, which originally installed prohibition. I'm glad we got rid of it. Number 5, this basic taste was first proposed in 1908 and refers to savory flavors that come from foods with high levels of glutamates. That is the relatively new flavor of umami. And number 6, in the game of Monopoly, which is the first railroad players encounter after passing Go. That is Reading Railroad, or is it maybe Reading? I don't know. Reading Railroad. Category 2, science. Oil floating on water, because they cannot mix, is the result of this chemical property, of which oil and water are opposites. So the answer I was looking for was polarity, but I was pretty generous with different responses because people were pretty close. They had like a general idea, even if it wasn't the exact word. Number 2, Gregor Mendel was an Austrian monk and scientist whose experiments with pea plants laid the foundation for which field of study? That was genetics or hereditary? Or heredity, not hereditary, heredity. Number 3, musculus is a scientific name for which animal? That is a mouse. So named because, well, actually the muscles were named after mice because when people flex their bicep like this, it looks kind of like there was a mouse underneath your arm moving. Anyway, more useless trivia. Number 4, at sea level, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. If the temperature remained constant, what would you need to do to melt the water to a liquid state? You'd have to raise the pressure. So pressure and temperature are related to each other in terms of the state of matter that something is here. And number 5, since 1982, US pennies are only plated with copper, while their inner core is an alloy composed of 99% what? That is zinc. And number 6, moving at roughly 18,000 miles per hour, how many times per day does the International Space Station orbit the Earth? That is 15.5. So if you said anywhere from 15 to 16, I'll count that. Category 3, number 1. I plan to visit my cousin in this capital city, where I could have shopped in the Byward Market, stood on Parliament Hill, or maybe taken in a Senators game if the season wasn't over. My cousin lives in Ottawa, Canada. Number 2, travel restrictions would mean I'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks in this capital city, but if I extended my vacation, I could stay long enough to leave my hotel and enjoy some lambic beer, mussels and french fries, or maybe waffles. That's Brussels in Belgium. Number 3, it's too hot and crowded to go right now, but this metropolis that was supposed to hold the 2020 Summer Olympics has plenty to see, including a giant robot. And if you've never been to Tokyo, that is a life-size Gundam, if you're familiar with the Gundam series. It's kind of cool to see on the train passing by that part of town. Number 4, I have friends living in this European archipelago whose country celebrated the Midsummer holiday this past weekend. If I was there, I'd pass on the pickled herring because that's gross. That is Stockholm, capital of Sweden. Number 5, I have other family in this bilingual metropolis. And if I was there this summer, I'd probably be shut up in La Banquise, enjoying some poutine and the city's famous smoked meat. That is Montreal in Quebec, Canada. And number 6, I may still be able to visit this town in Aroostook County to visit Northern Maine Brewing Company, but it's a pretty far drive from here. And if I'm going that far, I might as well go a little bit further to Fort Kent and check out First Mile Brewing and the origin of Route 1. So the town I was looking for was Caribou, which is just a little bit south or north. I don't know. It's nearby Presque Isle, but it's just about on the border. Northern Maine Brewing is one of my favorite brewing companies in the state. I just wish it wasn't a 7-hour drive from here. That was the last category. All right, so going over the scores in no particular order here. Let's see. I had to stretch out because this is a long name. Don't come to Arizona, you'll get the Rona. 14 points. Quiz in My Pants has 13 points. 42 currently in the lead with 16 points. Courtney with a respectable 3. The Man in the White Castle with 14. And Ire of the Scorpio with 11. So still anyone's game here for the round number 2. And then also remember, we're going to do a final round tonight where you can wager points. So it literally still would be anyone's game. I'm going to jump back to this screen. It's easier to work on. All right. So category number 4 for this evening. All of you to write your response in the form of a question. So this is gonna be like Jeopardy. So I'm gonna say basically an answer, not a question this time. I would like you to write your response in the form of a question. So pretty much exactly like Jeopardy here. And all right, so question number 1, category 4. Settled in the 1780s, this is the only state capital without a McDonald's. Settled in the 1780s, this is the only state capital without a McDonald's. Am I frozen? All right. I might have just been moving really slow, Karen. I tend to do that. Is it all good now, or should I let it go? Let it go. Don't hold it back anymore. Just kidding. I'm not frozen. It's actually incredibly hot in here right now. Since I was potentially frozen, does anyone want me to repeat question number 1? I'll just do it anyway. So number 1, settled in the 1780s, this is the only state capital without a McDonald's. And question number 2, oh my God, he's the middle child in the McCormick family on South Park. Oh my God, he's the middle child in the McCormick family on South Park. Oh, also in the midst of all of the break, I forgot my my intention to promote local Maine breweries here. Yeah, technically. Do they celebrate Midsummer in Denmark though? Oh, I suppose they would. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I guess I can give Copenhagen because that was a bit ambiguous. But anyway, yeah. So supporting local breweries tonight, just because it's the only Maine beer I have in my fridge. This is what is this? Monroe. It's an oatmeal stout from Woodland Farm Brewing. They're down in Kittery. I believe it's Kittery. They're almost at the edge of the border here. They have a nice little tap room. They're a good spot. Hard to find their stuff. Too close, rather not far away from there. So if you're ever down kind of near there, if you're shopping in the outlet stores or you're on your way or back from New Hampshire, stop in there. They make good beer, and they need support right now. Yeah, so cheers to them and to us. I'll finish that later. Question number 3. You can eat the red stalks of this plant. The green leaves are toxic. You can eat the red stalks of this plant. The green leaves are toxic. Question number 4. To maintain their immortality, the Greek gods drank nectar and ate this. To maintain their immortality, the Greek gods drank nectar and ate this. That was, yes, Courtney, that was number 4. Number 5. A 90s movie quote. First prize is a Cadillac. Second prize is a set of these. Third prize is you're fired. Again, a 90s movie quote. First prize is a Cadillac. Second prize is a set of these. Third prize is you're fired. And question number 6. Bare Naked Ladies worked The X-Files, Aquaman, and Sailor Moon into this title amount of time. Bare Naked Ladies worked The X-Files, Aquaman, and Sailor Moon into this title amount of time. For number 5, I need to move the quote. No, so sorry, for number 5, not looking for the movie. I'm looking for within the quote, part of the sentence. Second prize is a set of these. So what is it a set of for number 5, not the movie? I blame Alex Trebek for writing that question poorly. Lights come on. And you have a captive audience. All right, so would any teams like any questions repeated for question or category number 4? All right, seeing. Oh. His mustache isn't shaved. What are you talking about, Maria? All right, I'm going to move on. Category number 5. This is things that don't exist anymore. Let's see, things that don't exist anymore. Category number 5. It's question number 1 for things that don't exist anymore. This web hosting service was founded in 1994 and acquired by Yahoo in 1999. It became defunct in the US in 2009, but continued to operate in Japan until last year. This web hosting service was founded in 1994 and acquired by Yahoo in 1999. It became defunct in the US in 2009, but continued to operate in Japan until last year. All right. Question number 2. This animal and modern symbol of obsolescence became extinct less than 70 years after it was discovered by humans. Its rapid extinction called to attention the problem of human involvement with the disappearance of animal species. This animal and modern symbol of obsolescence became extinct less than 70 years after it was discovered by humans. Its rapid extinction called to attention the problem of human involvement with the disappearance of animal species. Question number 3. This disease was the first and so far only infectious disease to be completely eradicated by deliberate intervention, though samples of the virus which cause it still exist in some laboratories. This disease was the first and so far only infectious disease to be completely eradicated by deliberate intervention, though samples of the virus which cause it still exist in some laboratories. Question number 4. A common symbol used in New Hampshire, this anthropomorphic rock face was first recorded in 1805 and collapsed in 2003 after thousands of years of weathering. A common symbol used in New Hampshire, this anthropomorphic rock face was first recorded in 1805 and collapsed in 2003 after thousands of years of weathering. Question number 5. This socialist republic was founded after World War II and existed until 1992, when it split into several other countries and entered into a decade of separate but related ethnic wars. This socialist republic was founded after World War II and existed until 1992, when it split into several other countries and entered into a decade of separate but related ethnic wars. All right, and question number 6. This ancient wonder of the world stood 108 feet tall and depicted the sun god Helios. It was destroyed by an earthquake in 226 BC and was never rebuilt. This ancient wonder of the world stood 108 feet tall and depicted the sun god Helios. It was destroyed by an earthquake in 226 BC and was never rebuilt. All right, that's the end of category 5. If there are any questions that want to be repeated from category 5, please let me know in the chat before we move on. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to category number 6. Since this has been done frequently, and this is the last last category and last trivia for the virtual set, this one is entitled "The Final Countdown." Oh, that was later than I wanted it to be. Anyway, so this is basically the 1 through 6 category that's been done often. All these answers are going to be 1 through 6. Each number is only used once. I don't know if you can hear that, but it was really delayed and when I implemented it, kind of ruined the implementation, but that's okay. So all these answers are either the number 1 through the number 6, but only used one time in the 1 through 6. You've done this before, you know how it works. All right, so stop that. It's not really helping. Question number 1 for the final countdown. Wow, what a waste of a moment. Question number 1. This is the number of hydrogen atoms in a hydrogen molecule. This is the number of hydrogen atoms in a hydrogen molecule. Ron's getting into it. Question number 2. Actually, we'll pause this. So you might want to write this one down because this is a math problem. So question number 2. What is the remainder when you divide 603 by 13? What is the remainder when you divide 603 by 13? Get after it. When you get this, match the song. I really just wanted that one part. All right, good enough. All right, I'll move on, but feel free to continue doing long division on your paper because it's probably the best way to do it. Unless Common Core is easier. I don't actually know how to do long division with Common Core. Question number 3. This is the number of states which are included in New England. This is the number of states which are included in New England. All right, question number 4. This is the number of films in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series. So both movie series, because this character overlaps. So the number of films in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series that have been released to date that Jeff Goldblum has appeared in person as the character Ian Malcolm. This is the number of films in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series that have been released to date that Jeff Goldblum has appeared in person as the character Ian Malcolm. And I wrote that very specifically because I know someone's going to say, oh, he was on the book cover in Jurassic World. I'm like, well, yeah, but that doesn't count. So there, I already helped you out. He's not in Jurassic World. So figure it out. That's what y'all are after. Question number 5. How many individual colors are there in the Google logo? How many individual colors are there in the Google logo? And question number 6. How many time zones are there in the country of China? How many time zones are there in the country of China? All right, that is it for the final countdown. If any teams would like any questions from categories 4 through 6 they'd like me to repeat, please let me know. Otherwise, please take about another minute or so before you submit to finalize your answers, and then just go ahead and submit at the end of page 3. I guess technically 4, because page 1's your team name. And then I'll let those all come in, score them real quick, and then we will move on to final trivia category. Question number 1 again. Karen from category 6. I'm assuming you mean category 6, Karen, so that's what I'm going to repeat. So category 6, question number 1. This is the number of hydrogen atoms in a hydrogen molecule. Yes, I can run through them all. All right, number 1 is the one I just read. Number of hydrogen atoms in a hydrogen molecule. Question number 2. What is the remainder when you divide 603 by 13? Question number 3. What is the number of states which are included in New England? Question number 4. This is the number of films in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series that have been released to date that Jeff Goldblum has appeared in person as the character Ian Malcolm. Number 5. How many individual colors are there in the Google logo? And question number 6. How many time zones are there in the country of China? All right. Give people a little bit longer to send in some responses. I have the Scorpios in right now. I really hope I didn't flip this again, because I very well may have. Okay. Resolve this. Yeah, this worked out all right in the end. Good. Good. Okay, this is working out. All right. Yeah, so I guess just keep letting those come in. And I'll grade those up as they come in. on, come back. I guess Ron didn't want to be here anymore. All right. I think we're just waiting on Arizona right now. Let's lift this up again. All right. Let's see. Arizona, I still haven't seen a response from you. So if you have submitted it already, please let me know so I can go dig for it. It may have been lost because I screwed all this up apparently with getting these set up. Let's see. Arizona, are you still there? I have not seen your response. And I'm hoping you are still there. That this was a glitch because those happen and you were doing so well. So I don't need any more. All right. Well, if it comes in, why did I mark this down? Spot. Okay. Well, if it comes in, I will grade it. Oof, that was way off. All right. So answers for category round number 2. Number 1, it's category based Jeopardy. Question number 1, or answer number 1 in this case, I guess. Settled in the 1780s, this is the only state capital without a McDonald's. What is Montpelier, Vermont? Number 2, oh my God, he's the middle child of the McCormick family on South Park. Who is Kenny? Number 3, you can eat the red stalks of this plant. The green leaves are toxic. What is rhubarb? Number 4, to maintain their immortality, the Greek gods drank nectar and ate this. What is ambrosia? Number 5, a 90s movie quote. First prize is a Cadillac. Second prize is a set of steak knives. Number 6. Bare Naked Ladies worked The X-Files, Aquaman, and Sailor Moon into this title amount of time. What is 1 week? Category number 5. Number 1. This web hosting service was founded in 1994 and acquired by Yahoo in 1999. It became defunct in the US in 2009, but continued to operate in Japan until last year. Surprised only one team got this one. It's GeoCities, which is what I built websites on before MySpace was a thing even. I actually mentioned this to a young lady I work with who is 22, and she'd never heard of it, and it made me feel exceptionally old. Number 2, this animal and modern symbol of obsolescence became extinct less than 70 years after it was discovered by humans. Its rapid extinction called to attention the problem of human involvement with the disappearance of animal species. I think everyone got that one. That's the dodo. Number 3, this disease was the first and so far only infectious disease to be completely eradicated by deliberate intervention. Though samples of the virus which cause it still exist in laboratories, that is smallpox. Number 4, a common symbol used in New Hampshire, this anthropomorphic rock face was first recorded in 1805 and collapsed in 2003 after thousands of years of weathering. That is the Old Man in the Mountain. Number 5, the Socialist Republic was founded after World War II and existed until 1992, when it split into several other countries and entered into a decade of separate, related ethnic wars. That is Yugoslavia. Question number 6, this ancient wonder of the world stood 108 feet tall and depicted the sun god Helios. It was destroyed by an earthquake in 226 BC and was never rebuilt. That is the Colossus of Rhodes. I also just took Colossus. And lastly, the final countdown. Let's see. Number 1 for final countdown. This is the number of hydrogen atoms in a hydrogen molecule. There are 2. Hydrogen is one of several monoatomic molecules that has more than one of the same atom in it to keep it balanced. Number 2, what is the remainder when you divide 605 by 13? The remainder is 5. Number 3, this is the number of states which are included in New England. That would be 6. Number 4, this is the number of films in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series that have featured Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. That is 3. He was in Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I think so. Yeah. All right. Number 5. How many individual colors are there in the Google logo? There are 4. And number 6. How many time zones are there in the country of China? Even though geographically it spans 5 time zones, as far as the country is concerned, there's only 1 time zone in China. All right. I still didn't get anything from our friends in Arizona, and they haven't responded, so I assumed they're gone, but I'll list their scores anyway. So we have the Arizona team with 14, Quiz in My Pants with 30 right now, 42 with 35, Courtney with 12, tripled her score in round 2, so that's great. The Man in the White Castle with 32, and Ira the Scorpio with 26. All right, so final trivia here. How this is going to work. I'm going to give you a category, in which case, I'll tell you right now, the category is Classic Toys. Classic Toys is the title. So now if you open up the final trivia answer form After putting in your name, there's a place you can put your wager. So please wager any amount of points between 1 and the maximum number that you have. Hopefully you just kept track of what I told you your points were. And then don't click next until we'll give about 30 seconds for everybody to make a wager. But nobody click next yet because you can't go back. And you only have 30 seconds once you answer to answer the question here. So classic toys is the category. This is kind of an interesting one. So hopefully we'll have some fun with it, and hopefully this thing works out this time. Splashed some of that beer in my eye and that really burned. All right, that's okay. It's all right. I have another eye. All right, it's been about 30 seconds. I'd wager. Is there well, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So hopefully every team has made their wager. So go ahead and click next for the question here. You'll have 30 seconds to answer. So hit submit within 30 seconds of me reading it off because that's the amount of time I'm accepting the answer. So the final trivia question in toys category. In 1952, he was the first toy to be advertised on television. Though he started alone, his family has grown since then. In 1952, he was the first toy to be advertised on television. Though he started alone, his family has grown since then. That could be louder. There we go. I think quick 30 seconds. We don't want to go on a He-Man here, so I suppose I should just open up that answer sheet. Final round answer sheet. All right, let's see what people wagered in responses. All right, we got 3 responses in. Just waiting for who we're waiting for. Courtney, hurry up. There you go. All right, good. So let's see what we've wagered, and I've got so many spreadsheets open right now. Don't need that. Don't need that. Great. All right. So first we have Quiz in My Pants. They wagered 29 points. They said Mr. Potato Head. That's the correct answer. So that gives them a total of 59 points. Team 42 also said Mr. Potato Head. They wagered 35 points. Let's see here. Ire of the Scorpio also said Mr. Potato Head. Wagered 26 points. Out of order here. 26. All right. Arizona did not hear from them. The Man in the White Castle wagered 10 points. His answer was sliders for a limited time only at White Castle. Oh, go fuck yourself. All right. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with him anymore. And Courtney. What did Courtney write? Courtney wagered 12 points, and she wrote Gumby. Unfortunately, that's not correct. So you've managed to wipe out all of your points, but that's okay. We're still glad you came. So running through our points here, in second place, we have third place, Ire of the Scorpio with 52 points. Second place, Quiz in My Pants with 59 points. And our winners for the final round, or final game with 70 points, are Team 42. They are, as often are, the team to beat. Hopefully they will propose just as much a challenge when we can go back to the pub. Let me thank, again, everybody. I've got so many tabs open. Thank everybody who came out over these past weeks for me and Andy and Jen for doing all these trivia nights. Hope you had fun. Thank you for supporting the pub. I'm sure I know they all definitely appreciate it. I mean, this has been fun. It's been real, but it hasn't been real fun. No, I screwed that up too. Anyway, Ron's had fun too, even though he runs away and hides. It's really hot for him, and he won't. Well, he doesn't want me to trim his fur down. I'm rambling again. I'm just gonna knock out of here. So, thanks everyone for coming, and here's the outro song finally. I see by the clock on the wall, it is time to bid you one and all goodbye. So long, farewell, adieu, be good, bye-bye, relax, take care, adieu, mon vieux. Goodbye until we meet again. That's it. We're done. I don't have any credits. No, that's it. That's the end of it.